Happy full moon in Capricorn. Today I'm sitting outside of the Cathedral of St. Mary in Edinburgh. And it's actually been really hard to find a spot to talk to you because all of these gardens, which there are quite a lot of them, are locked and gated and you can't get in. But here at the cathedral, I feel welcomed. And it's such a beautiful, inspiring image for this full moon, actually. Here we have this stone cathedral built. It probably took forever to build. There's so much artistry, so much planning, so much serious craft in it between the stonework, the woodwork, this incredible organ and these wonderful stained glass windows. And yet, even with the seriousness of this huge cathedral building, it's dedicated to St. Mary. So Saturn, ruling Capricorn, the moon, ruling Cancer, to me often can represent the father and mother. And so this full moon, Saturn is actually stationing to go retrograde. So not only does it rule Capricorn, therefore really influencing this full moon, but in its stationing, it stands, it feels to us like it's standing still. It gives us such an effect and such a serious kind of sheen on the gloriousness of the full moon. As it stations direct, it often we feel it more, yeah? And so in our inner life, we as adults start to internalize the aspect of mother and the aspect of father, or we can think of it, if we internalize, we have the moon qualities and we actually have also Saturnian qualities. Now at first it really is kind of like we internalize our parents. You've probably noticed this as you've aged or are getting there, that you'll do something, you're like, oh, that's like my dad, or you'll react and like, oh, that's like my mother. But as we continue on our path of development, of self-realization, of doing our inner work and daring to look at our shadows and daring to take uncomfortable actions, then we start to notice that these archetypes of mother and father don't just stay at kind of the development that our parents were at, but actually become more of the ideal mother and the ideal father. And eventually with our own work, hopefully these elements become cosmic instead of just even ideal. But while we're working on it, this Saturn evolution and this moon evolution, we want to find out how our actions are building the consequences of our life, or how our actions are manifesting. So here we have it. There was this impulse to build a cathedral to St. Mary, but it took this Saturnian long time, hard work, persistent work to actually erect this incredible building that then can house this place of worship. This cathedral even is, even in the bathrooms, it has flyers for support group for people who find themselves in abusive relationships. There's outreach. There is, you feel welcome to sit in the gardens. The doors to the cathedral are open. It really has that maternal love, this maternal welcoming. And so to turn that back to our own kind of evolution, our own growing older or withstanding the tests of time, this full moon is illuminating what our inner actions are producing in our outer life. So take notice. How are you feeling? What have you been able to do? What are you seeing as the result of your actions? There's a temptation to just focus on the positive side of things, to just notice, the joys, the successes. But unfortunately, when we fixate that way, we actually become imbalanced, and we then reveal much more the shadow side of Saturn, even the shadow side of Moon, where when we're only looking at the radiant and the light and the bright and the feel-goody stuff, we contract nearly, and we become more stuck in our ways, and we think everyone has to be like us, and we try to hold everyone up to our ideals. But when we have this courage to allow this looking at Saturn and looking at what's manifested in our life, and seeing not only our successes but also our shadows, then we actually cultivate a sense of humility and a sense of true compassion. Because if we don't see how we screw up, like, we're not going to be forgiving when we see how other people screw up. So as you allow this full moon to illuminate what's being manifested in your life, don't be afraid to name even the things that you don't like, not to punish yourself, but to actually set you free. So maybe next time you can do differently, or maybe next time you can choose differently, so that you over time build for yourself this inner cathedral that can host this generous, loving, and caring part of you that we know is there. I love you so much. Thank you for being here. Mwah.